quarters has been awful. And I'm hearing this, hey, you've got to be patient. Not really. I hear that about CEOs. Be patient. See the vision, long-term growth. They have quarterly earnings calls with investors and shareholders. Yeah, speed her up, champ, or we'll find a new CEO. This Vikings team, number one, could lose their great defensive coordinator by the end of the season, Brian Flores, to a head coaching job. Number two, their amazing left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, is 26, but he's already had one major surgery and several other injuries. Left tackles are hard to find, especially as good as him. And the roster's too good, so it's going to get really expensive within the next year to 2 years. I mean, this team in the last couple of years has won 13 and 14 games, 2 out of the last 3 years. I know patience is a virtue. I understand that, but you ever gone to an NFL practice? They don't have virtue drills. Ready, set, virtue. And Green Bay, your primary rival, is great right now. And because of the youngest roster, they're only getting better.
And why are the Green Bay Packers getting better? And why are they a great team? Do you guys know why? Because of patience. Because they literally were patient with Jordan Love. So it's actually kind of perfect that Colin's going to throw in the Green Bay Packers as a reference point, especially because Colin kept saying, get rid of Jordan Love. I don't like what I see. I'm giving him until Thanksgiving, and I don't like it. He's not good. He's not good. And then boom, pop, and was great. Like these things take time. These things take time. And you know what? Colin has talked about this before, but he's looked at it in the wrong direction because he kept saying, Michigan, they didn't really rely on JJ. They didn't really rely on JJ. They didn't really need him to be that guy. And that's true and that's fine. And yet they were able to win with him. And Kevin O'Connell really likes him, and Harbaugh really likes him, and et cetera, et cetera. And now he's a 22-year-old kid in his second NFL game in his career. Okay. You don't think there's any room for him to grow and improve and mature, at all? When we see a lot of these other quarterbacks pop, it's typically, these young quarterbacks, it's typically 23, 24 years old. He's 22. And this stuff does matter. I know on the surface it seems so little. What's the difference between 22 and 23? An entire year of development. An entire year of development. When looking at football players at this young of age and athletes and when they're growing, I actually think the best comp is looking at little kids. Looking at a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old, a 3rd grader and a 4th grader. It is night and day. Night. Anyone who has kids or niece, nephews, or you're a teacher, whatever it is night and day. It's not even close. Anyone who's been around kids where you see in real time a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old or family members, and you're like, whoa, 5-year-old's out there. I'm having real conversations with them right now. The 4-year-old's still just kind of speaking a bunch of nonsense, talking about Mickey Mouse. It's just night and day. And that's how it is within athletics. There's a huge difference between a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old, a 22-year-old and a 24-year-old. And when you now came from a program at Michigan with Harbaugh and didn't need to do as much, there's plenty of room to grow. There's plenty of new things to learn. Listen, I've been saying this from the jump that JJ McCarthy is not going to be able to just hit the ground and pop in a second. That had been my take from the get-go. And I got a lot of pushback from Minnesota Vikings fans because they just, I know they're excited and they saw what they were able to do and they were just like, no, he's going to be an instant upgrade of Sam Darnold. It's like, no, that's not always how it works. To stick with the whole kid analogy, there's 9-year-olds who are not as smart as 6-year-olds. It's clear that 6-year-old man, that kid's he's going to be smart. He's just grasping concepts fast and he gets it and he's, by the time he's 9, by the time he's 10, 15, 20, dude's going to be a genius. But the kid who's a little bit older still knows more and is still able to navigate, going to class and take tests and, whatever. And like that's how it often is with young quarterbacks and veterans. And that is why a Sam Darnold can jump into a situation like this and succeed very quickly, and why someone like a young quarterback like a J.J. McCarthy, who you believe will be a better quarterback long term, can have some struggles. So no, it is too soon to be concerned about him. You do have to give him more than 2 games. Like, what are we talking about here? But the pressure is on undeniably. That is what happens when you have an incredibly respected head coach and a great defense and a great team. And with the Sam Darnold winning a lot of games, and with the Kirk Cousins winning a lot of games, because everyone now just isolates and looks at the quarterback and says, the quarterback is the one that's changing. If we're not winning, we can point directly to the quarterback. There's nowhere to hide. No one could say, I don't know. Is Kevin Unnell that good of a play caller? Like they were able to do with Caleb Williams last year. They can't say, well, the defense really isn't good and they put too much pressure on the, like, you can't say those things. I don't know who could win with this team, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins. So, like, the pressure and the heat is on, undeniably, but it doesn't mean that you still can't have patience and how much, I don't know. It's not a matter of patience. It's a matter of how quickly Kevin O'Connell himself reaches a conclusion. Maybe Kevin Unnell reaches the conclusion in 2 games he's not good enough. So then you're like, yeah, but you got to be patient. If Kevin Unnell says, like, no, man, I see what I see. This is my conclusion. Okay, that's the conclusion. If he says, no, listen, man, I've reached the conclusion that this guy's great, but we're just not there yet. I can conclude that 8-year-old's going to be a super genius, but it's going to take a few years for him to, like, start to be able to do theoretical physics. I can't have him do it by the time he's 8. So, like, it's just it's not just this binary. Well, you got to give him 3 months, or you got to give him this, and well, there's no excuses. That it's a moving target. It's an absolute moving target here. I get the need and the want to constantly filter things through, essentially like a formula, like an algorithm, so to speak, that you can constantly make sense of the world. I give quarterbacks by Thanksgiving in their 2nd year. If they don't got it, they don't got it. I need a cutoff point. And it's just not how it works. Shouldn't the reemergences of Baker, Geno, Sam, Daniel Jones, like, shouldn't that tell you that not all quarterbacks just go up, 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 up? And now, don't get me wrong, a lot of those quarterbacks, specifically those quarterbacks, like, they haven't had the situation that Kevin Unnell and Minnesota Vikings give. I totally get that. But there still needs to be a sense of development that J.J. McCarthy was robbed of last year because of injury. And now he's injured now, which then does kick the can down the road. Unfortunately, it is adversity that he has to prove that he can overcome, and that Kevin Unnell wants to overcome it with. But we don't have to be so alarmist and just constantly hit the panic button. I have no idea if at the end of the day it's going to work with J.J. McCarthy. The reality is, nobody does. Everyone tries to sell you that they know. Right now it's not going to work, or they sell you right now it's definitely going to work, right? It's always these definitive statements. I can tell J.J. McCarthy is not going to work. I've seen the quarters, it's over, it's done, move on from him, or the opposite. No, everyone's being too extreme. I'm telling you it's going to work. He's going to be great. He's going to be all pro. You just don't see the vision yet. And it's just like, the reality is, nobody knows that's something that, like, nobody ever really wants to tell you out loud. Nobody actually knows. We all have our opinions and our views, and mine is always flexible and changing, but, like, just think about how just last week Colin went on a whole rant about how he reminds him of Baker Mayfield and this and that, and Colin sees Baker Mayfield as like a top 10 quarterback now. And now a week later is, I don't know, man. I've seen too many bad quarters, and it's like, whoa. Like, come on, man. What are we doing here? And I remember my sister-in-law said this about my niece one time when we were talking about, about my niece. And I forget the exact age she was, right? It was like, she's like 4 now or something. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it's so different. I was like, she looked, she's so different from just last year. And she was like, yeah, well, that's because a year is a quarter of her life, right? It's 25% of her entire life. So, like, yeah, a lot can happen, you know, in a year, and it's like that for someone's football career when we measure it in quarters. Okay, so it's just we gotta just I think we all just gotta take a beat here. But the injury is a bummer. No question about it. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings and JJ McCarthy? Do you think it's time to just sound the alarm, be concerned, and not have patience for JJ? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it, and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.